Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Mr. Wang, and this is AP Biology. Welcome to Back to School Night. Wish we could all be doing this in person, face to face, but we're here in our pandemic and distance learning, and so we're kind of just rolling with it. Tonight, I'm just going to share a little bit about myself, what this class is all about, and how to support your students. So let's get started. A little bit about me. This is my 12th year teaching, my 11th at Mills. My background, I went to UC Riverside and double majored in neuroscience and bio. And after that, I went to Cal State Fullerton for my credential in biological sciences. And so 12 years later, here I am teaching freshman biology and also AP biology. And I really love teaching AP bio. One reason is because a lot of my students are coming back for a second time. I had them freshman year, they liked bio, and now we get to continue, building our relationship. But also, I get to show them a little more about what bio is actually all about. And to me, that's really a lot of fun. Tonight, like I said, I'm going to go over a few things, just an intro to the class, a couple pointers on how you, as a parent, can support your students' learning. Just a few reminders of how to take care of ourselves. That's for all of us, parents and teachers and students. And then finally, how to get help if your student needs it. So let's start with a quick introduction to the course. AP Bio is a college level course. That's what all AP level courses are. And the purpose here is to really get kids ready for their next steps. So when I think about the class, I'm thinking a lot about what I went through as a science major, as a bio major, and just translating a lot of that into my class and what I want for the kids. So a couple things that come to mind for me. Number one, just fostering their interest in science and bio. Everybody's here because they like biology, and hoping to continue to fuel that passion. Second is to build a strong foundation in preparation for college. As many of you college majors may know, the first couple years there's a lot of weeder classes, and not everybody makes it. So for our students that want to go and pursue science and bio, I really want to make sure that they have a strong foundation so that they can be one of the ones that get to move on. And then finally, just from a learning and growth perspective, I'm really hoping to grow students in their self-confidence, their self-awareness, and just allow them to reflect on how they learn and why they're learning, and hopefully lead to this thing we call lifelong learning. So that's a little bit about what I'm about, at least with the class. Now, as for me, I've had a chance to reflect a lot over this shelter in place about what I want the kids to get out of their time with me. And what I came back to were really three key tenets of my teaching philosophy. The first is you are more. I know as AP students, they're under a lot of pressure from themselves and from other places to get good grades and get into good colleges. But I really want to remind our students that before they're a student, they are a human being. They're a lot more than just their GPA or what college you go to or what you can and can't do. While I have no problem with working hard and trying to succeed, I just really want to encourage our students to remember that what defines them is not just their achievements. There's a lot more to their sense of value and identity than just what they can do in school. Number two, growth mindset. What and how we think about ourselves is what shapes who we become and what we can achieve. And I really believe that everybody is exactly where they're meant to be right now. And the circumstances and the challenges that we face, all those are geared towards helping us to grow into the person we're made to be. And as students, this is really easy to forget. I struggled with this as a student myself, just really feeling like I wasn't the best student. But I've learned through the years that who we are today is very different than who we are tomorrow. And so I really try to encourage my students to remember that a year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, they're going to be able to do a lot more than they can do right now. And I hope that motivates them to keep trying and keep working and keep growing themselves as a lifelong learner. Finally, knowledge is power. To change the world, we have to understand it first. The purpose of learning is to empower oneself with the ability to bring about change. As we look around the world around us today, there are a lot of really big problems, and I know a lot of our students have really big aspirations to go out there and really make the world a better place. But to do that, we have to learn. And so for me, that's really the motivation for our kids to learn, is to be empowered. I don't want them just learning for points or learning for a grade, but to really fill their minds with knowledge and a good understanding of how the world works, so that when they get out there, they can actually make a difference. So that's a little bit about who I am, and the next thing I want to talk about is how to support your student. What can you do, or what can you say to support your student as they go through AP Bio? Because it's a pretty challenging class. So here's some things that come to mind. The first is to value character and personal growth over achievement. As I kind of alluded to earlier, um, you know, grades are not everything, and it's really important for kids to remember that having resilience and knowing your self-worth and having academic integrity is much more important than just what grades you have. The second is to create a positive home environment. We're spending a lot of time at our homes right now, and so I've noticed a lot of kids just wake up and they stay in bed while they're in school, and that actually it makes it really hard for them to differentiate when it's time to work and when it's time to rest. And so if it's possible, I know space is limited now with everybody working at home, try to encourage them to have a place for work, but then also a place for rest, and just try to keep things positive. Number three, encourage academic dialogue and interaction. It's really easy to ask our kids, like, what did you get on the test and what grade do you have? But what would help more is if you ask them about what they're learning and really encourage that dialogue, because the more they talk about it, the more they're going to understand it. And that's why I really encourage them to study and collaborate with peers. Obviously, they're not going to be meeting up in person right now, but they can certainly, a number of them are meeting over Zoom to review and just talk about what they're learning in class. It's a really good way to reinforce everything. Finally, as you know, stay involved with their success through Canvas. You can check my Canvas page for grades and communication and unit schedules and all that stuff. So just, let me know if you notice anything or they need extra assistance. So that's a little bit about how to support them. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is how to take care of ourselves, especially in this pandemic time. Even though it's only been a few months, it really feels like a long time for all of us. And it's really important to remember that we are not in normal times, and this is not a normal school year. And so even though a lot of students come in expecting everything to be the same, it just isn't the case. And so I've kind of been reminding them that there's a lot of different aspects of their health that they should be watching out for, making sure that they take care of their physical health, when they can get outside and when it's not 100 degrees, when it's not smoky, when it doesn't look like Mars, to get outside and exercise and eat healthy and get enough sleep. For social emotional health, making sure that they spend time connecting with people, whether it's their family or their friends, either in person if it's safe or over Zoom. From a mental health perspective, a lot of people, adults and students alike, have really been struggling with mental health stuff during the pandemic. And so I want everybody to know that our counseling staff and our wellness team, they're still working at full steam, and they're all available to make appointments with our students and meet with them and just help them navigate these really hard times. And then if this is something you and your family are into, spiritual health is really important too. Just having a bigger perspective on ourselves and the world around us can really help ground us in uncertain times like these. So those are just some ideas of how to take care of yourself. A lot of this for me as a teacher comes from something I learned back in my teaching credential days that I wanted to share with parents, and some of you may have heard of this before. It's called the Maslow Hierarchy of Needs. And what this, Maslow was a psychologist that studied what humans needed to really thrive. And so at the top of the pyramid, there's this box here called self-actualization, and that represents the sense of morality, creativity, problem solving, all these like high level functions that we want for our kids. But a lot of times we forget that in order for them to get there, that is built upon the lower tiers of having our most basic needs met, from our physical needs, our safety, having a sense of love and belonging and self-esteem. All those really need to be in place before we get to this top here. And so as teachers and as parents, a lot of times we just want kids to rush to the top here, but especially in pandemic times, we have to remember that a lot of the things that they kind of took for granted, that gave them a sense of safety, that gave them a sense of esteem or love and belonging, those are actually a little harder to get these days, right? And so when we check in with our kids, it shouldn't just always be about school, it should be about some of those other things as well. So those are just some ways that you can take care of yourself. The last thing I want to finish with is just a quick thing about how to get help. If your student's struggling, what can we do to get them some extra support and extra help? Well, there's kind of 4 things that came to mind. Number 1 is use the chat. During Zoom classes, there's a private message feature. So if students are not understanding something or they have a question, they can ask a question publicly or they can send me a message privately. Another good way is to send an email. You can email me directly through Canvas or at my email address, which I'll show in the next slide, and we can answer questions or set up an appointment. We also have a flex and support period twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. And this is a good time for students to come in and get extra help if they need me to reteach something or make up work. And of course, they can go into breakout rooms and work with their peers and make study groups. So a lot of really good work has been happening in there in the past few weeks. I highly recommend that they come in. Finally, if needed, I'm more than happy to do one-on-one Zoom calls during my office hours or even after school. If you just, your student needs to talk with me and just talk about how they're doing and what they need and how I can better support you in your class, that is an option too. Just send me an email or reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to make an appointment. This is my email if you want to go directly and not go through Canvas. It's swang@smush.org. That is probably the best way to get a hold of me, and I usually try to respond within a day or so. So that's kind of my spiel here. I know I'm a little bit over time, and I appreciate you checking in. But I hope all this ends soon, and we can do this face-to-face one day very soon. But till then, everyone take care, be safe out there, and have a great school year. Thanks for coming.